You recording?
That's recording. All right, you don't have to say the names, okay? Stop doing that.
Here, press. I pressed the record button.
Wait, don't press the record button.
I already did.
Why did you do that? No one told you to do that.
Because remember last time we forgot to press the record button and we had to do
What
it
the
over
fuck?
again.
Why is this upside down? You knucklehead. You did this on purpose, so look at that.
I did.
Why is it pressing down? What the fuck? Why is it like this?
Turn it
You
around.
put it on upside down, you knucklehead.
And I put
Now-
it on upside.
Come on.
What are you
What
talking
the
about?
fuck?
There. There you go.
Yeah. Alright.
When did you tell me
Alright, you don't have your headset, let me play our
They said it couldn't be
Are we
done.
introing?
They said it wouldn't last. White man, black man. Merica F-1.
Check.
Merica F-1 coming to you straight from San Francisco, California. Sherman Tillman, Michael Lawler. Merica F-1.
Yeah! Woohoo! Another show, baby.
Is the intro done?
The intro's done.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
wait. We gotta, introduce the show.
Oh, hi, I'm Michael Lawler.
No, it says the name. You don't have to say, I
Oh.
keep telling you this. You don't have to say your name. Because the
I'm
intro
getting
says your
scolded.
name. Okay? When the intro says your name, you don't have to repeat
Oh, that's
it.
true.
Why do we have to go through this every week? And we missed last week because somebody was really busy.
I have a job.
Somebody was really busy and they couldn't
Someone
make
who works for
time.
the city, so he
You
can
know.
get any day he wants
So
off.
it's a very exciting time. This is going to be a very exciting show. And I'm going to tell you why. First, we are going to talk about the liveries.
Deliveries.
Livery.
Anyway.
Deliveries.
Boring.
So we're going to talk about those. And then we're going to talk about Suleiman. Is that his name?
I don't know.
Did I say it right? Suleiman, the president of the FIA.
The ex-president of the FIA who's
Well, he's
stepping
still
down.
the president, but he's just stepping back.
They always say that when they're quitting.
Stepping back.
I want to spend more time with my family. No one wants to spend more time with their family.
Yeah, they do. I do. I want to spend more time with my family.
Oh, lonely.
Yeah. And then we're going to do Formula One for Dummies. Which
So
is,
all you people out there who watch the stupid Drive to Survive and then watch a race
And
and
have
wonder
no idea
why
what
it's
you're talking
boring,
about.
we're going to tell you why it's boring.
Yes. So it's going to be a great show today. And
Okay.
starting off with deliveries.
The liveries. Anyways.
I gotcha.
Anyways,
Little mind
I
trick.
hate
What's
Red
that
Bull.
mind trick?
They just put their
Oh,
basically their
Red
last
Bull.
year's car out.
Same
with-
thing.
Same thing on it. I don't know what.
Who's the guy who does that? What a great job. Just
To-
do the same thing the next year. And
It's basically
the next year.
It's last year's car. There's
And the next year.
and we have okay. This is what bothers.
And the
This is
next
what
year.
bothers me now. Because back in the day when they launched a car, that was the car you saw on the track. So I don't know why they do this nowadays. Well, the testing's coming up on the 23rd to the 25th. There's only 3 days of testing.
Okay.
I don't think you're even going to see their cars during testing. I don't think.
Why?
You're gonna, I think they're going to show up at the race. They'll
What do you mean they're
They're
just
going to show up at the race because that's what Red Bull did last year. The first test, they showed up with a car, and then the next week they showed up with a completely new car with brand new wings, new side pods, new everything.
Yeah, they did that. But, I mean, the delivery thing, I mean, I just don't get it. So you got a designer, he designs the car. You got a guy who does the paint scheme. And that's what he does.
Well,
that's his job.
It's mostly
That's why they pay him.
No, the sponsors decide what the paint thing is going to
But
be.
I thought
like.
the sponsors just decide where
No.
their name is going on the
They
car.
get to pay like if the side pods are the most expensive part of the car. Like Oracle on the Red Bull, they're paying $100 million a year to put those on the side.
Yeah, you know what
pods.
would be cool?
What?
Is like these amps are super cool. What is this cover? Why do we cover the amp? Why
Because
are
you
you covering
don't
the
want to
amp?
hurt it.
But
That's
shouldn't
a
you be able to
basement.
see it?
Nah, that's fine.
But see, look at our background now. We got all these cool amps because Mike's a supposed musician, and look at all these cool things.
Godfather SF record release party.
Yeah.
March 12th.
So
490 Gary Street, the Warwick Hotel.
there
the
you
European.
go. Matter of fact, I should talk about some sponsors. You know, the Ace Bar in San Francisco is a great bar, sports bar. It's a neighborhood bar.
They let you in there? I thought they threw you out.
They let me in. They threw somebody else out. They let me in. So go check it out. Ace's Bar. Awesome.
Anyways,
And
we're 3 weeks.
wait, we didn't even talk about. There's other liveries. to talk
Oh, the
about.
Haas livery.
The Haas
Boring.
livery. I thought that was okay. I thought that was one of the better ones.
And The Alfa Romeo, they just took the white off the car, so they didn't.
And
have
it's
to
black.
paint it.
It's awesome.
It's the exact same livery as last year without now. It's
But now
white
the uniforms are black too.
Yeah, whatever. It's like,
Okay, and then the Williams. The thing I know and I like about the Williams that people don't know or they're not looking at, it has that Duracell battery on the top, but it's the same color as the Duracell battery.
Yeah,
that is cool.
They had that last year.
No,
Yeah,
no.
they had the whole year last year.
They had the Duracell battery on the top.
The livery on the Williams is exactly the same as last year's.
No, it's blue.
No, it's exactly the same.
But it's blue.
But it was blue last year.
I'm gonna put that livery up right here. I'm gonna put it in magic, and it's gonna
be
appear
the
right
same.
here. And we're gonna have all 4 liveries right here appear magically in between us. And then I want you, the audience, to check and say the one you like the best. So far, I like the Alfa Romeo because I always bet on black. So I like the black livery. I like the Duracell battery, and I also like golf. See this shirt right here? See it where it says golf? They're going to Williams. They're going to Williams. So the merch,
they got less money. They paid less money.
the merch should be awesome.
If they painted the car like they painted the McLaren
That's
two
what they
years
should
ago,
have did.
I don't know why they.
Why?
Because it would. The reason why is because they're not giving them enough money to paint the car. That's why. They only did it that one time because they probably gave them money.
They should have did a golf livery with Williams, and it would have just
Anyways,
been so awesome.
The livery season is we still got cars coming up, and none of these cars.
When next week?
Everybody, everyone, some of the teams will show them at the test on the 23rd because they have to that day. They have to show up with their cars because they only get 3 days of testing this year. Because there's very little change in the cars this year. So
Let's talk about the President Suleiman of the FIA.
he quit. They'll get somebody
He
else.
didn't quit. He's stepping back from day-to-day operations.
Yeah, but John Todd had that
He's
job for a
letting
while.
other people step up and do something. Because,
I guess he didn't want to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that's probably what that job entails.
well,
He's just the
he was
president.
very controversial. He came in with the list of things he gave to the teams that these are the things, with the earrings and the jewelry, and you can't talk bad without sending, you can't talk about current events without sending me something in writing. And it's like, dude, get out of your own way, bro. You got a cake job.
Yeah, they'll get somebody else. He's just
Give it to me.
He's
I'll do
basically
it.
just a politician, so I don't put too much stock.
I'm a great politician. Give it to me. And
yeah, let's let Sherman Tillman be the president of the FIA.
Because all
It
I'm
would
going
be
to
a
do...
disaster.
No, it wouldn't. I'm staying out of the way. You shouldn't be in the limelight. Nobody should know your name.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Trust me, if you were the president of the FIA, no one would remember
But-
who's the guy who's the president.
Yes, that's how it should be, though. No one should know your name. You should be in the background, like greasing the wheels and making sure everybody's happy.
Okay, now that we
That's why I would be good at it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we're going to
There's
talk
my
about
pitch.
all you dummies out there.
Formula One for Dummies. Now we're going to start the real good part of the show. It's Formula One for Dummies.
We're going to start off with
It's-
The Drive to Survive is a TV show. It's not real.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. That's why all of a sudden Americans want to go to the Formula One races, whether $15,000 a ticket. You dummies, when you get there, you're not going to like
Yeah,
it
Vegas.
because it's an auto race.
$1,000 to go.
Every time one of these lovers comes over to my house and wants to watch a Formula One race, they sit there and they complain about like there's no passing. Why does this do this? Why Formula One races are boring.
No, they're not.
Most of the time,
no,
they're boring.
I disagree. Not all of them are boring.
What was last year like?
There was some, I'd say, at least half the races were interesting and good.
The Red Bull was a dominant car last
Yeah,
year.
but Brazil was good.
Yeah, because I don't know what they did wrong.
Good.
For some reason, that car didn't work at Brazil. I don't know why.
There were some really good races. But
Well, I liked watching the Ferraris catch on fire last year. That was always fun.
right, so let's go talking about Formula One for Dummies. Let's take people through the weekend. The weekend is kind of has 3 sectors.
They
okay?
practice on Friday,
So on
they
Friday-
qualify on Saturday, and they race on Sunday.
So you have practice 1, practice 2, practice 3. And so what does practice mean, Mike, for a racer? What are you thinking about and what are you trying to do?
You got to go out there and do the long. They basically most of the practice is on the long runs with full tanks to find out what your car is going to be like that. Then the last hour or so of practice, you take all the gas out of the car and set it up for qualifying. And then you qualify on Saturday.
But are you trying to also look for good racing lines, know the track?
They already know.
The track changes, right?
Not really.
Well,
They have some the things that change.
maybe it doesn't change.
Not
It's
really.
just like the road. The more you use
tires
it,
change.
it changes.
The tires change, not the.
But the road changes.
No.
The tar-
It
it's not
grips
like
up a
they're-
little bit as the weekend goes on. There's more grip in the track, which the dummies out there have no idea what I'm talking about.
We'll get to the tires later.
You
He
lay down
loves
rubber on the
tires.
track.
That's all he ever talks about is tires, 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 tires.
90% of the performance.
Tires. Okay. Well, if you don't have an engine to back up the tires.
Oh, well, the engine's the second most important thing.
Well, the engine's the most important thing, and then the tires
Mm.
is probably second. Well, actually, I'm gonna go engine, aero, tires.
No, it's tires, engine, aero.
No, there's no way it's tires because
Sherman knows nothing about
it can't be
auto
tires
racing except
first
he
because if
watches
you don't
it.
have the horsepower or the engine to keep up and have the speed, then tires aren't going to matter.
But if you wear your tires off, then
and
it
if you
doesn't
have
matter how
bad,
much
if
horsepower
you have
you
bad
have.
aerodynamics, then you wear your tires, right? More than another car that has bad.
Whoever makes the
That's
least
really
amount of
good.
mistakes wins.
So I'm disagreeing with him.
I can hardly
He
wait
doesn't
to
know
take him
what
to
he's
the track,
talking
and he'll
about.
come
Doesn't
back
know what
in
he's
here.
talking about. Don't listen to him. Okay, this is for dummies. So dummy, you dummy out there.
No,
you.
This
you're
is
a
the
dummy.
big-
You're a dummy.
this is big
You're a dummy.
dummy right
Look
here.
at your hair gel. Look at the hair gel.
Look at how good this is.
What is that? A pompadour?
It's a pompadour.
What the fuck? This is not the 80s.
What, are you swearing? Did you say the?
I just said what the fuck.
I've had this haircut since 1983.
Exactly, dude. Let's get into the modern era with haircuts.
Jealous.
Okay.
He's jealous of the hair.
All right. So you have practice 1, 2, and 3. So they're trying to find racing lines. They're trying to see what's wrong with the track. They're trying to see how the car performs in different areas. They break it down into sectors. There's sector 1, there's sector 2, there's sector 3. And then they tell the driver, well, you're losing time in sector 2. You're losing time in sector 3. Well, you're really good in sector 1. Blah, blah, blah. So that is what practice is all about. It's not just get in the car and drive it. Okay? Okay?
It's about making the car go fast on full tanks of gas because they don't ever get to change gasoline.
And,
Okay.
And so then we have qualifying. What's qualifying about, Mike?
Well, you take all the gas out of the car, you put the super softs on, you go for it, flat out. There's no, because when you're racing in a race, you have to do racecraft where you're not necessarily going full blast all the time.
Okay.
And your tires wear off anyways, and that's going to slow you down anyway. So because the gooey part of a tire is like about 3 laps, and then it does this.
So in qualifying, we're basically gonna get one lap to warm up the tires and one lap to go.
That's your goo. They call it the gooey.
And so the best time
is going to be that lap.
The pole position, and then it goes all the way down to how many?
What?
When you do qualifying, how many rounds is there, Mike? Come on, explain.
There's 3.
Okay, well, the dummies don't know that. You didn't even explain that.
Well, there's
you know, I mean, if I'm out there in the audience and I'm trying to understand qualifying and I'm listening to Mike, I'm not going to know shit. Because he's not fucking explaining anything. All right, so qualifying has 3 parts to it, okay? How many people do they get rid of after the first round, Mike?
What, 5?
How many people do they get rid of in the second round?
5.
And then what are you left with? How
10.
many? 10. And then what?
That's it.
Then the best qualifying times, they rank them 1 through 10. And then that is the starting grid. And that's what they call the starting grid for the race, which is the next day.
Which is the most important part about
What about
the
these sprint races, Mike? What's that all about?
I don't
Some of
know.
these races have sprint.
I don't like them.
Okay, well, what is it? What's that about?
They're just doing a sprint race instead of doing a full race. They do 20 laps, and whatever position you finish in, that's what you start on Sunday.
Okay.
And it's usually basically what the qualifying positions. I don't know why they don't.
Wait, is the sprint race?
They only do a couple, 2 or 3 a year, so it's not very popular. I don't think it's not popular with me because it's Formula One. It doesn't make any sense.
I kind of like the sprint races. It gives you an
'cause
added thing.
They don't
for the
do
weekend.
they don't do qualifying when they do the sprint races.
Yeah, but it's an added thing for the weekend.
Well, when I was karting, we had.
Well, they do qualify because you have to set the grid for the sprint race.
No, we had to do we did qualifying.
We're not talking about you again.
Then we did a
back
sprint
in the-
race. Then we did the main.
1920s.
So if you won the sprint race, you didn't get anything for it. That's where you qualify. It's basically a qualifying race.
Yes, but
So
you
it's like kind of
qualify
pointless.
for the
I'd
sprint
rather us
race.
have just the one race.
Wait,
and-
you okay? For the audience out there, he explained that wrong. You qualify first, then that grid is set for the
I don't
sprint
think they
race.
qualify.
They're qualifying for the sprint race. They don't just go. Everybody just going out there and start racing.
I might be wrong. I thought they
How do they set the grid
I
for
thought they just-
for the sprint race? Then
I thought they just set it for the points.
how do they set the grid for the sprint race?
I thought they set it by the points.
What points? It's practice. Where are the points coming from?
No, the points in the year.
No. Oh man.
Am I wrong?
Yes, you're wrong.
Okay, then I
so
guess they
have
qualify.
qualifying, and then that sets the grid for the sprint race. Then from the sprint race, that is how they set the grid order for the race. Now, see, I'm explaining something to you that Joe Tires here doesn't even know.
They only do it a couple
And
times
it's-
a year.
And they do it way more than a couple times. This year, I think it's going to be like 8.
What?
Yes. I mean, do you ever keep up with this stuff? Do I have to
I
do
only
all
watch
this stuff?
I only really watch I watch
All
practice.
you care about
but
is your hair.
That's
That's all you care about. Okay, so let's move on. So, and then race day, we have 10th through 1st get points. 10th get 1 point. 9th gets 2, 3, goes all the way up to first place gets 25, second place gets 18, third place gets 15, and those are the podium places. So 1, 2, and 3, they stand on the podium at the end. They play the songs. Everyone
They play
yells and
they play
screams,
their
and they
national
have
anthems.
Fake champagne. Sometimes they have real champagne, or
Mostly real champagne.
and then they squirt each other, and they
and that
celebrate.
started. Dan Gurney did that at Le Mans in 1965 or 67.
And they
was
used
the
to
first
have
one.
girls up there, and that was. Why are you laughing?
What?
They used to have girls up there, and that was awesome.
When?
Remember before they have the grid girls?
They don't
Remember
have.
that?
Oh,
They
that's
don't
right.
have
They took the
girls
grid
anymore.
girls out. I
So
forgot about that.
stupid.
The funny one was one of the drivers
Dumb.
started dating one of the lollipop girls, and like he got fired from his team for it.
Oh, who's that? Who was that?
Oh, it was one of the
Do you
guys. I
remember
think he
that?
was on the minority team or something like that. And like
Minority.
the press lost their minds. Like this dummy dated the lollipop girl.
Really?
Dummy. God, that was so
But-
stupid.
Bullshit.
That's like being a football player trying to date one of the cheerleaders.
Well, they do that.
No,
Football
no.
players date the cheerleaders.
No, they don't. It's against the rules.
Dumb.
I mean, maybe they do, but I mean,
You
it's
think-
super against
wait,
the rules.
You're telling me there's 52 football players on a team
And 20
and
cheerleaders.
20 cheerleaders, and none of them ever like say, "Hey, baby, what's up?"
I
Come on, man.
don't know if they're
Come on,
around
man.
each other. Anyways,
Come on. It's
let's
like you
move
not
on
like
from
talking
the
to a groupie.
stupid
It's like you
cheerleaders.
like you got a groupie in the back and this.
Okay, we talked
hey,
about that. Let's
Mike,
talk about
I
this.
love your song. Can you like?
We're gonna talk about the race
can you
team
take me
now.
out for a drink?
Yeah, I
and
will.
then you
Anyways.
go, "No, I'm not taking you out to a drink.
No,
I'm going right back to the
Okay,
house."
we're gonna talk about
And
the teams
Then they're
now.
like, "Okay, give me a break."
There's gonna be more
then what?
manufacturers.
All right, so we talked about.
There's 3 manufacturers right now. Or is
Okay.
there 4?
We got Mercedes
Ferrari, Mercedes, Renault, and
Renault.
Honda.
and Honda. That's 4.
Yeah, but Honda's not officially even though they're still making the engines, which I don't understand what the hell.
And Ford's going to replace them in 26.
Ford is just going to give them money and they're going to build their own engines in.
You don't think they're going to use a Ford engine, Mike? Come on.
No.
Come on.
They said that they're just going to help them with the batteries. That's it.
That doesn't make any sense.
Because Red Bull has their own powertrain company. They build their own engines now.
Right, but
And it's
now
gonna be in Milton
They're gonna
Keynes.
what? Just slap a Ford sticker on there?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. All right. So then now we've talked about the practice. We talked about qualifying. We talked about the race. We talked about the points. Now, what is this thing called Park for May?
Oh, and when they go into Park for May, you can't touch the car.
But why?
It's just the rules.
Are they weighing the car?
It's supposedly saving money. I don't know.
But do they weigh the car sometimes? Because sometimes they come in and they stop.
Well, yeah, they pick a random car and they do that a lot.
And what do they do to the car, Mike?
They
Explain.
put
This
it
is for
through
dummies, Mike. This is for dummies.
They put it through tech and they check everything, make sure they're not cheating. That's what it's for.
have they ever caught anybody?
Oh yeah.
And I bet you it's Red Bull a lot, right?
If you are not cheating, you ain't trying. So
Cheating ain't trying.
Red Bull got
Cheating
busted
ain't
this
trying.
year for spending too much money because there's a salary cap now.
Yes.
And of course, they the whole time they're like sitting there going, "Well, we did it, but it's not that big a deal."
Right. Oh, it's not that big a deal. There's a couple new.
They lost 10% of their wind tunnel time, which is a big deal
That's
nowadays.
a big deal.
Because you can't. Back in the day, there was unlimited wind tunnel testing.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari at one point had 2 wind tunnels going full blast 24/7.
And I was reading that just one team just came on board with having their own wind tunnel. That's
Well, most of the teams have their own wind tunnels, but it depends. Red Bull says their wind tunnel is the old Arrows wind tunnel, and Christian Horner said it's like driving a VW Bug. It's so old. They're going to have a new one.
Well, they have a lot of money.
But they're $50 million to have one, and it has to be programmed right. And it's like, so it's like you know. But yeah, the aerodynamics are super important. But most of the aerodynamics for the dummies is underneath the car. It's not on top of the car.
What do you mean, Mike? I don't understand.
Well, right now we're doing the ground effects, so they're trying to suck the car to the ground.
Okay.
If you watched any of the races last year, dummies, the best car on the grid was the Red Bull. That car never porpoised one day the whole year.
It was really
Everybody else
strange.
was, especially the Mercedes was the most affected by it. They were they were bouncing, they hurt.
Wobbly.
But if you notice, they got sort of a handle on the car towards the end of the year. That's why I'm thinking this year Mercedes might be back. So
I hope so. I want to see I want to see anybody but Red Bull, to be honest.
well, Red Bull's probably going to be pretty good.
So we talked about Parc Fermé. What another term you hear a lot when you're watching Formula One is understeer and oversteer. Understeer is
When the rear of the car doesn't work,
meaning that.
it's loose.
So I'm turning the car and the car doesn't turn where I want.
No, that's oversteer. That's when the car's tight. When you go to turn the car and it doesn't turn. So it's loose and tight. In America, we call loose is when the rear end of the car.
Oversteer is when the rear end is coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then understeer. It's the same
understeer.
thing as loose and tight. Anyways,
Or explain it.
you want the car loose because you can. If it's loose, it's fine. When it's tight, meaning you go to turn and the car doesn't turn, that's bad. If you have a car that does that, you usually have, we call them a dog because they don't. You can't.
So
turn
most drivers, I think, would prefer.
Well, you want the car balanced, right? But it's like
They would prefer
if it's a little
oversteer
loose.
to understeer, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then the
You
back,
can deal with the
you
back,
can
the
deal
back,
with the
but
back.
you can't deal with the front.
correct. So those are the two terms that you're going to.
But they both got to work together. If you can get them to work together, which usually you can,
Mm-hmm.
Especially with karting, it's like there's not too much.
No one
you can
cares
do.
about karting.
Yes, they do. When I take Sherman to the track,
About-
he will
no-
come
no
down
care
here
about
and he will be
karting
singing a
stuff.
completely different
But-
tune. That's if he mans up. We'll
So
see
that's
what
what we
happens.
hear a lot about. Oversteer, understeer, oversteer, understeer.
The car's loose. The car's tight. The car. I mean,
Right.
you hear the driver say the car doesn't work. It's
So-
just. But you rarely ever hear it from the good drivers because they have the
you
best
hear about
cars
it.
and.
Yeah. But
and-
I mean, they do complain about it.
But you hear them, the tires went off. If you ever hear that, that means the tires are gone, and they're probably 2 or 3 seconds
Now,
off.
speaking of tires, let's move on to tires. Your favorite subject. How many different tires are there, Mike?
There's 5 or 6.
Go through them, please. 'Cause
There's
people want
softs,
to know.
mediums, and hards.
And?
It depends on the weekend.
What else?
And there's wets and intermediates.
So, what are the differences? Is there different treads? Is it heavier?
No, the tires.
weights?
I don't think the tires way different. It's just the softs are soft. They're really good for a few laps, and then they go off really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Then the mediums are pretty soft, but then they last a little longer. And the hards, most of the time, the drivers say they look really good in photo sessions.
Why is it really glistening and shiny?
they're like really good in photo sessions. To drive them, there was a few times last year where I think Ferrari made the huge mistake of putting hards on a couple times.
Oh, come on. Ferrari, come on.
And they lost
Come
the
on,
race because
Ferrari.
of it. But then there were races where they put the hards on and they worked, but it,
Clark, they just
what do they call them? There's C somethings. There's
they
5 or 6 different
what a
tire compounds.
Okay.
And they bring different ones to different races because they're designed for that specific
So
track.
for our long-term Formula One fans, now there used to be a time when they had different tire manufacturers.
Well, they had the tire
in
world,
the
Michelin
same
and Bridge,
season.
and it was like that's why there was only 2 teams that were any good. It was usually when the Bridgestone and the Michelins, the Bridgestones were on the Ferraris, the Michelins were on the Renault team, and Ferrari won 5 championships in a row, and then Renault won 2 championships in a row. Then it was 2005 and 6, and then Kimi won 1.
Kimi.
But then by that time, when did they go to the Pirelli? I think they went to the Pirellis in 2010.
Kimi Räikkönen. He should be like a commentator.
No, definitely not.
I'm
Absolutely
just gonna
not.
go drink some beer.
Actually, he doesn't do that anymore because he's married now with kids, so he doesn't have time
To drink beer?
to get
Well,
hammered.
Ross Bag, he's out there commentating a lot. He's married.
He's alright.
He's always out there.
Yeah, but he was never a party boy. Raikkonen was like, when he wasn't driving, he was usually drunk. And
Okay.
anyway,
So we talked about the tires. We talked about Perk Ferret. Now let's talk about the teams. Like
the new teams.
Let's talk about like why do they have what's a team principal, and they got an aero guy, they got a communications guy, they got a strategy team.
Well, they have
what's all that stuff?
They have a CEO.
Oh, are you back on the phone again?
No, I'm just. I gotta get going soon. There's
You're back on the phone.
There's a CEO. Then there's a principal.
Okay.
And then there's a technical director, and those are the 3 big positions on the team. And basically, the CEO is like the general manager of the team. If you were on a football team, the principal is more like the coach, and the technical director is like an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. So.
And with strategy, would they be the defensive coordinator, or they're way below?
No. And then there's the race director, the guy who calls the race.
Okay.
So, and it's usually not any of the, the prince. It's never the CEO. It's rarely the principal. It's hardly ever the technical director. So.
And then they have the strategy people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a race director, and that guy is the one who calls the races. That's why Ferrari, whoever's doing it over there,
he should get fired. I'm pretty sure they fired him. But they also have the pit crew, the pit team.
Yeah,
right.
They're all basically the same though.
What do you mean?
They're all doing 2-second pit stops. That's like
They're not all doing 2 seconds.
That's what you're going
They're
for.
not all doing it though.
Well, that's the goal.
That's the goal, but they're not all doing it.
It's the goal because remember, the longer you stay in the pits, it's like every 1/10 of a second is like 100 yards on the track.
So usually when they go into the pit stop, it's because of what?
Tires.
Tires
That's because they can't change. They're not doing gas.
And the tires only last for so long, especially if they usually
20 laps is about the top end, and then you're losing so much time. You have to get tires.
right. And then some of the better drivers will kind of like save their tires.
Like Lewis
so
is
they
the
can
best on the tires right
Right.
now, because he doesn't make any mistakes. That's
Which
the
is
thing.
strange because he used to be really hard on the tires.
No, he was always good on tires.
No, I mean back there was that time when he was with McLaren. Like after he won his championship, not the next year, but in that like dark years of McLaren, you're like, what happens to that car? Like he was crashing into Massa all the time, or Massa was crashing
They went to the Pirellis, and when the Pirellis first came in, no one could figure them out because they weren't very good. The Pirellis weren't. Everyone said they were like driving on rocks, which is a term that race car drivers use when you get a set of tires that don't work well. You call it because it's like driving on a set of rocks. Basically, it's like you're driving on rocks on the track.
So tell me about the differences between Formula One, NASCAR, and IndyCar. What's the difference between those 3?
What do you mean?
Like what's the like? Oh man, I just there's this thing. It's called airplane mode, and so when you're in airplane mode, you don't get the messages when you're doing something. Right? And it doesn't make that really bad. I mean, that's a really bad ringtone.
Anyway,
get a good ringtone. Get a Formula One ringtone.
I don't want a Formula One.
Do our show ringtone.
Okay, I'll get a new ringtone.
Yeah, I'll get a new ringtone. What a new haircut. New hairstyle.
No, everyone likes my hair.
No? Who?
Everybody.
Like who?
Everybody.
Name one person.
Every person who comes to my bar says I have great hair.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Do they run their fingers through your hair?
No, you can't.
Why?
Then you'll get grease on it.
There you go. So can't.
I use motor oil to do this. So.
Okay. All right. So we were talking about What were we talking about?
Okay. I want to talk about the new teams that are coming
Wait,
in.
but when we finish off that last subject, what was it?
What?
The last subject we were talking about before.
Something about teams.
No, but before what were we just a second ago? We were talking about something,
And
then your phone rang as usual because you don't know how to turn on the airplane.
I turned it off.
And then you start talking about your hair and how lovely your hair is, but we were talking about. We just talked about strategy.
I thought we were talking about teams.
Okay. Oh, we were talking about the differences between Formula One,
NASCAR.
IndyCar, and NASCAR. See, it's always me that brings
well,
us
there's
back.
like the Indy cars are like, I think they're 10 seconds slower a lap around the circuits of America.
Okay.
Because it's just basically downforce.
All
And
right.
the cars are bigger and heavier.
Okay.
NASCAR are completely...
They're basically road cars. Right?
No, nothing. They're purpose-built race cars. There's nothing on one of those cars that has anything to do with a road car.
But they're heavy as hell. They look like a road car.
No, they're 3,000 pounds.
But they look
have
like NASCAR looks like a road car.
But they have a 700 horsepower engine in it.
Right, but it looks like a road car.
It's designed. That's the whole point. Is you win on Sunday, sell on Monday, but hasn't been that way for 40 years. They've been basically when they first started NASCAR. Yes, they were literally road cars that they turned into.
And
race
what about
cars.
hypercars and GT cars?
Those are basically Formula One cars.
But they don't look like them.
But they don't. But they're faster than Formula One cars
I think the hypercar is faster in straight line speed.
because it has better aerodynamics because you're covering up the wheels.
But the Formula One car is still faster.
No,
Yes.
no, the lap times are faster than the hypercars.
No, they're not. You don't pay attention to this stuff. You
Yeah, I
really
do.
don't. You really have to
Look it up.
You have to
Sherman
read.
will put it up on the screen.
I'll put it up on the screen. Hypercar is not faster than a Formula One car. Okay? It doesn't have better aero. Alright? It just doesn't.
No, actually, it does.
Okay, how about this? You look it up right now.
I don't have time. I gotta get going.
Well, look it up right now, just so you could be wrong. Just so you could be wrong right
Hold
now.
on.
Live. Right now. He's going to look up what's faster, a hypercar or a Formula One car. And then when he's wrong, he's going to get rid of that damn haircut. That's what he's going to do. He's going to get rid of that damn haircut. What do you say? I say, let's find out. He probably can't even type. I mean,
Porsche's new EV Le Mans car is faster than an F1 car.
give me this.
Just
thing.
like I told you.
After retiring from the top tier of the world endurance last year, Porsche have released their LMP car.
And the prosecution
and made it
rests.
faster than an F1 car. Now that's how to have one lap. Oh, that's just for
I
one
told
time.
you it was faster.
That's just for one time.
Oh, God, give me the phone back.
Look, that's just one time.
So stupid.
That's just one time. It's not faster.
Sherman knows nothing about Formula One, race cars, or anything.
Uh,
When I take him to the track and teach him how to drive,
no,
what
that's not
happens.
true.
He will know.
They made one car faster.
Here, give me the
While
phone.
both F1 cars and WC cars are both capable of hitting speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour, Formula One cars have the edge. See, it's always what you pick out. And he picked out one car that they made specifically to be the fastest
Here,
car.
give me the phone.
But overall, if you take all the LMP1 cars, they're not faster than Formula One.
Anyways, I hope we enlightened you
just-
dummies about
I
Formula
just-
One. I don't know why we're talking about hypercars.
I don't know. You should
We
get a
got-
haircut. That's why. That's why we're talking about it.
I gotta get my hair, dude. It's getting kind of long.
You know, it is.
Okay, on that note, I think we should end it
That's our Formula One show for dummies.
for dummies.
Do you have anything else to add?
We will talk to you next time
What are we
during.
going to talk about?
We're gonna talk about
More libraries?
No, we're gonna talk about. We're gonna be here on the 23rd. That's gonna be the first day of testing.
Okay, so the next time we're going to talk about testing.
Testing, because then we'll know. We'll see all the cars, and we can have like an actual, real good podcast.
99. Bye-bye.